right. Welcome to another edition of Spot Training. My name's Josh. I'm going to be taking care of you today. I'll be your personal trainer, so if you have any questions about any of these motions, feel free to shoot me a line at spotmetraining.com or joshua.james.caceres at gmail.com. You can also hit up the company at spottraining@outlook.com. Today's workout is going to be an aerobic full body workout. We'll be using a little legs, little arms, a little bit of core, and for the warm-up we'll be doing an overhead washing machine followed by a alternating toe touch, overhead high knee, and then a air squat. Just get the heart rate going, warm up our legs, warm up our core, and a little bit of our upper body in our overhead motions. For the primary workout, we're going to be focusing on the single leg deadlift, followed by the clean and jerk. We'll be doing those unilaterally, one side at a time, emphasizing the stability inside of our balance for the single leg hinge, and also the support in our back for that clean and jerk. The workout after that is going to be a front kick alternating and a side kick alternating, something to get the heart rate going a little bit with a little bit of aggressive range of motion, aggressive stretches. And I'll go over the little ambiances of that to make sure you're not just throwing your legs in the air. And then you've got a downward to upward facing dog, a nice little yoga transition. Stretch out your shoulders, stretch out your core, your hips, hamstrings, and the alternating leg lift to round out that workout with a little bit of core. Nothing too crazy, just a little salt and pepper. Our goal for this workout is to be steady state through the whole thing, which means you want to be 60 to 75% of your max heart rate. But there will be no rest once we start that primary circuit. So 130, 110 beats per minute, 150 if you're really good. Steady for the full 24 minutes. We'll be starting off with the overhead washing machine. We'll do 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest for the warm-up. On the overhead washing machine, you'll want a resistance band or a towel. You're going to bring it up and over your head. Brace your glutes and your core and get a nice wide base in your legs with your toes pointed straight ahead. You're going to twist left to right, stretching out your obliques and your back, waking up and wafting out inside of those hips, inside of that core, and inside of that spine. After that's going to be an alternating toe touch. You'll again go into a nice wide base, toes pointed straight ahead. Make sure to keep a slight bend in the knee and a flat back by lifting your tailbone, bracing your core, and pulling your shoulders back. You're going to toe touch, opposite arm to opposite leg, alternating. And toe touch is kind of a suggestion of direction. If you've got tight hamstrings like me, you might not get all the way down there, but by the end of this workout, our hamstrings should be nice and loose and feeling pretty good. Then you're going to be doing an overhead high knee. You'll bring your arms up and over the head, squeeze your chest and your shoulder blades in. Elongate that core by bracing. Bring the knees up. Warm up those hips. Stretch out that lower back and glutes just a little bit. Last is going to be a air squat, just body weight. Unless you want to go crazy, you can definitely throw on some weight to it. I'm going to keep it steady for the warm-up though. Feet hip distance apart. Toes pointing straight ahead. You may require some internal rotation to execute that, but we're trying to warm you up, which means stretching is definitely going to be ideal. You're going to bow your knees out to the sides, externally rotating. Lift your tailbone up, get your chest upright. Drop your hips behind the heels.
1. Exercise.
All right, let's get started. Once again, we'll start off with that washing machine. Nice little tension inside of the resistance band or towel, toes pointed straight ahead, glutes tight, core brace, twist left to right. Should feel like a pretty mild motion. Nice little stretch for the back, stretch for the core. Steady and smooth, nothing crazy. Just enough to get that heart rate going a little bit.
3, 1.
And time.
Rest.
All right. We'll be moving on to those alternating toe touches next. Once again, you'll get a decently wide split going with your toes pointing straight ahead.
3,
Slight bend inside of the knees.
1.
Back flat, tailbone
Exercise.
lifted. Chest upright, core brace. Reach down towards those toes, stretching the back of your thigh, the back of that hamstring. Opposite arm, opposite leg. I had a little change up there. A little distracted with the explanations. Keep it smooth, keep it steady. Shouldn't be breathing heavy yet. It is only the warm-up after all. We won't really get to a point where we're breathing very heavy. Not today. Today's steady state should feel like you're going at a nice brisk jogging or power walking pace throughout the whole workout.
3, 1.
All right, next
Rest.
is going to be that overhead high knee. You're going to start by bringing your arms up and over your head, as the name suggests. Squeezing your shoulder blades, lifting your shoulders, squeezing your chest.
3,
Core braced. Draw those
1.
knees up
Exercise.
into your chest. It is a good opportunity to warm up your stabilizers too, as you'll be up on one leg during these motions. Later on we got some front kicks, which is kind of like a continuation. I would say it is a continuation of this motion. Good opportunity to get comfortable working on that heel, alternating from one side to the other, which you won't be doing for the single leg deadlifts, as you might see on the bottom, but you will most certainly be doing for those front kicks.
3,
And
1.
time.
Rest.
Last is going to be those air squats, feet hip distance apart, toes pointing straight ahead, may require some internal rotation, chest upright, core brace, glutes dropping back and knees pressing out
1.
as you squat.
Exercise.
Steady and smooth. Heart rate might elevate just a little bit. And you want to just keep it at, once again, nice walking and talking pace. Steady breathing. Ten seconds. You got a few stretches in on these last few.
3,
Get some
1.
nice deep squats going.
Rest.
All right, that's round 1 of 3. We're going back to those overhead washing machines. Grab your band, grab your towel. Get a little split inside of it, a little split in the
1.
legs. Glutes tight,
Exercise.
core brace, maintaining a nice back alignment. Hips should be underneath the abdomen. Shoulders should be over. Starting to feel some release inside of my knees, inside of my hips. Little pops here and there. That's good. Good decompression. Steady and smooth. 15 seconds. Five, 4,
3,
2,
1.
1.
Rest.
Next up is going to be that alternating toe touch. I'm going to fix a little sound thing on here. 3, 2, 1. Go for it.
Exercise.
Alternating toe touch. Nice wide split. Toes pointed straight ahead. Excuse me, Poppy. Slight bend in the knees. Opposite arm to opposite toe. Back flat through the whole motion. Lift that tailbone up. Keep those shoulders upright. Keeping that back flat will be no problem. "15 seconds.
Three,
3, 2,
1.
1.
Rest.
Awesome. Next is going to be that overhead high knee. Hit. I'll pull up my pants. All right. Arms up over the head.
1.
Squeeze the shoulder blades. Squeeze the
Exercise.
chest. Brace in the core. Take your time, feel out that balance. You can always use your Swiffer if you feel like your balance is going to be challenged for this workout or for any of the workouts today. Nice and smooth. Warming up that hip. A little bit of aerobic response, loosening up that glute and that lower back. Steady,
3,
smooth workout.
1.
Good.
Rest.
Ah, feels good. All right, air squats, feet hip distance apart. Weight is going to go into the heels at the bottom. Press the knees
1.
out. Press your glutes back.
Exercise.
Chest upright, tailbone lifted for a nice flat back. I'm going to feel out the bottom for a second. Get that big stretch going. Keep it steady, keep it smooth. Not looking to kill you quite yet. You should be pretty good throughout this whole workout. Nice and steady motions.
3, 1. Rest.
All right, one more round of warm-ups and we'll get to the primary workout. Last set. Should be feeling a little bit of release inside of
1.
the oxygen and
Exercise.
the heart. As you get toastier. Toes pointed straight ahead, slight bend in the knees, core brace, glutes tight. Twist left to right for your last overhead washing machine. Keep those hips underneath your abdomen. Keep your shoulders over by bracing your glutes and bracing your core. Especially that pelvic floor that tends to get overlooked. Extensive sitting,
3,
disengagement,
1. Rest.
time. Right. Alternating toe touch. Nice little split. Weight in the heels, slight bend in the knees. Press your hips back, lifting your tailbone
1.
up. Shoulders
Exercise.
back and core braced. I'm going to feel out those stretches because I got tight hamstrings. That right hamstring's definitely much more mobile than the left. 5, 4,
3,
3, 2,
1.
1.
Rest.
Overhead high knees are next. You'll reach those arms up over your head. Squeeze your chest, squeeze your shoulders, lifting
1.
through your shoulders.
Exercise.
Core braced. Bring those knees out in front of you. Stretching out the glutes, stretching out the lower back. Whoa! Warm up those stabilizers. Stretch out that glute, that lower back. Steady and smooth breathing.
3, 1.
Time.
Rest.
Couple of air squats and we'll be done warming up. Change up that timer to reflect a minute's worth of work. Air squats.
1. Exercise.
Remember to keep your feet pointing straight ahead. Knees are gonna externally rotate. Hips are going to drop behind the heels. Chest upright, back flat. A little side view. Keep those knees as far behind the toes as you can. Lift that tailbone to avoid that rounded back.
Three,
All right.
1. Rest.
Feeling loose, feeling limber. Let's set up this timer to reflect our primary workout. I'll leave that 4 minutes on so that way I have some explanation time to go over the workout with you. It's going to be a minute of work and no rest. I'm going to go ahead and put it for a minute of rest. If you see it red, then that means you need to move on to the next workout. I'll call them out as we go along. So, we'll be starting off with those single leg hinges. Again, a nice little balance workout while stretching out that hamstring, contracting the hamstring, isolating that little muscle group. You'll do one side then the other. I'd recommend starting with the left, as you know, it might not be your dominant leg for most of us. Really depends, but just keep an eye on it. I'm going to be starting with my left. If you want to start with your left, I'd recommend it. After that is going to be a clean and jerk. You can use a bag, a kettlebell, or a dumbbell. Dumbbell is certainly going to be the least technical, which is great because, you know, least room for error. And you want to keep it light. We're only doing a minute's worth. But that's going to be a lot of repetitions, so you know, definitely don't try to get your max unless you feel proficient with the motion and you really want to challenge your strength. Again, we'll do the left and the right. Then after that, we're going to be doing the kicks, front kicks, and then side kicks, and I'll go over those. And then you'll be on the floor for some down to up dog and some single leg lifts for recovery. So, single leg deadlift or a single leg hinge is a pretty steady motion. You're going to brace into one leg and the heel. Equal amount of weight distribution between the big toe and the little toe. Keep your pelvic floor tight, your core braced. You're going to kick back the other leg, pointing straight down towards the floor, keeping that gait steady and closed. You can use a Swiffer if you want to maintain alignment. Or you can go without, or you can even put weight in your hands if you'd like. If you decide to use weight, I recommend putting it in between both hands. After that is going to be a clean and jerk. As I stated earlier, it's probably the most technical motion we're going to be doing. It starts with a hinge. Hinge being your weight in your heels, your tailbone lifted, your hips back, using that thrust in order to start the motion, followed by a pull and a flip, bringing your elbow underneath the weight. Pull, elbow underneath the weight. Then a squat and a press. As you're coming down, absorb with the shoulder, absorb with the squat, absorb with the pull, absorb with the hinge. Hinge, pull, squat, press. Press, squat, pull, hinge. Hinge, pull, squat, press. Always making sure to keep that internal rotation so your elbow lands underneath the weight every single time. I'll knock out one side and the other. Minute on each. After that is going to be a front kick. For the front kick, you want to keep your alignment, toes pointing straight ahead. And when you're kicking out, toes pointing straight up. You're going to put most of your weight into your heel on extension. You're going to start with the knee first and extend and alternate. If you're planning on using your kicks, I recommend keeping your guard up in front of your face. Side kick is very similar. Weight in the heel. Bring the knee up. Keep your toe aligned pointing straight ahead. Keep your contact point on the heel. Big difference, whichever side you're kicking out to, you'll want to extend that arm in order to assist with the balance. Definitely less of a one-on-one fight, more of a I'm getting attacked by his friend from the side. Down to up dog, you'll be on your hands and knees. You're going to drive your hips up into the air, And your heels down to the floor. Then your hips forward and your head up. And last is going to be an alternating leg lift. You'll place your hands underneath your lower back, core brace, particularly in front of the hips.
1.
Bring your
Exercise.
legs up one at a time. All right. It's only those 5 motions. We're starting off with that single leg hinge, doing one side at a time. And I'll do my best to give you cues as we go along. I know those 4 minutes might not have been enough for you to catch everything. So again, single leg hinge, brace in the heel of this lead leg, slight bend in the knee, a little bit of weight in the big toe, a little bit in the little toe. Keep your pelvic floor braced, so that way your knee and your back toe, your back knee, your back toe are pointing straight down. Chest upright, core braced. Try to get the pull in the back of that lead leg, this hamstring right here. And again, if you need an assistance, grab a Swiffer. Yeah, use a few so that way you can get that big, deep range of motion.
1.
All
Rest.
Right, change sides. Again, keep that pelvic floor nice and braced. This side's not as good on the single leg hinge. But just mirror me in order to keep up. Keep that back toe pointing straight down, weight in the heel, slight bend in the knee. Chest upright, core braced. This side's definitely much tighter. This can be a little bit tougher. "15 seconds. We'll be moving on to that clean and jerk next. Hang clean and jerk, meaning you don't squat deep, you don't hinge deep, predominantly keeping it in
3.
the arms.
1. Exercise.
Remember, you start with a hinge, you go with a pull, flip your elbow underneath, give me a squat, and press overhead. And absorb the impact the exact same way. Hinge, pull, elbow underneath, squat, press. Absorb in a press, absorb in a squat. Flip your elbow into a pull and a hinge. Hinge, pull, squat, press. Press, squat, pull, hinge. Elbow underneath, elbow in line with the shoulder at all time. Keeping that chest tight and internally rotated. Shoulder blade squeezed back and in. You can use a bag, a tote bag, backpack, kettlebell. You can even use a potted plant, really.
1.
If you're going
Rest.
for weight bearing, you might use something a little more stable, like a kettlebell or a dumbbell. Something quantifiable. After all, $3 is not much of a weight scheme to work on. That's what I'm working right now. $3. But this is more of a steady state workout. We're not trying to get to a point where we're completely gasping for air. Just to a point where we're, able to tell a story with some little labored breathing. 30 seconds, less than. Hinge, pull, flip the elbow, squat, press, press, squat, flip the elbow, hinge, pull, and pull, hinge. Hinge, pull, flip the elbow, squat, press. I think I got one more.
3. 1.
All right, next is going to be that
Exercise.
front kick. I really enjoy these. Remember to keep your toes aligned straight ahead in front of you. You're going to bring the knee up first. Make sure to keep your guard up. Bring the knee up first and then extend. Everyone's guard's a little different. Me personally, I recommend resting your elbows on top of your ribs. That way you can save your shoulders the work. "30 seconds. Make sure to keep that heel down, that big toe, that little toe, and slight bend in the knee. of that lead leg. Knee up first, then extend like a crack of a whip. Side kicks next. I'll probably do less reps. Take it slower.
1.
Remember to point
Rest.
in the direction you're kicking. Knee up, extend the heel, and in. Breathe through it. This will probably be the highest your heart rate gets through this whole experience. Shouldn't be too high. If you feel like you're challenging your mobility in your groin, your hip, you're doing a good job. Try to avoid opening up that gate, pointing that toe up. Is less than ideal. You'll lose some power on that because you don't have as much
3.
muscle available.
1. Exercise.
All right, down to up facing dog. Hips upright. Hips down, core brace, head upright. Make sure to brace that core. You don't want any pressure on the lumbar. You want to extend through the hips. Dig your toes into the floor, press your heels down and hips up. Nice steady yoga transition. Feel the stretches out. Breathe through it. You got those single leg lifts coming to you next. I'll show you some variations. If you feel like you need the regression, no problems there. Hands at your lower back,
1.
lifting your tailbone up.
Rest.
Make sure to brace your pelvic floor anyways, squeezing the muscles in between your hips. If you need a little regression, start with your knees bent. Do one leg at a time. If you want a little tougher, start with your legs flat, one leg at a time. If you want it even tougher, legs floating. Make sure you keep that pelvic floor nice and tight. "15 seconds. All right, time to hop up.
3.
That's round 1.
1.
Go straight to the
Exercise.
next round. No rest. I feel recovered. I'm going to continue challenging my range of motion though. My main goal is to build mobility in my hamstring on this workout. If you're looking to build burst or strengthen it, you might grab a weight. You might do a skip at the top. Great. Great workout, but a lot tougher on the heart rate. Or if you want to build some more muscular endurance, you might grab a weight and just do some repetitions. I'm going to take my time on my form and technique. I had a nice periodization of running for distance at the beginning of the pandemic, so my hamstring mobility is not ideal. And I want to challenge that mobility, challenge that range of motion. All right.
1.
Change sides.
Rest.
Steady and smooth. Heart rate should not be going through the roof. Wow. And I get my hip flexor a little tighter. Finding myself having issues balancing. Tells me I'm depending too much on this. Not using my core enough. That's much better. A little tension in the pelvic floor never hurt anybody. And that pelvic floor is the area right between your hips. Think about all the muscles between your hips and using the muscles in between them to pull your hip bones together, closing up your gate. Coming up on that clean and jerk next.
3,
Grab your weight.
1. Exercise.
Hinge with a nice flat back. Weight should be right in front of your toes, tailbone lifted. As you hinge, pull into the chest, flip your elbow underneath, squat and press. I go over this because this is certainly one of the more complicated motions. Don't overthink it though. You're basically lifting up and over the head. Big thing, elbow underneath that shoulder. I feel like that's where I tend to see the most faults. That not absorbing with your legs like I just didn't. Use your legs like they're shock absorbers, hydraulic system, because that's exactly what they are. Remember to hinge and squat into your heels. That way you're using your glutes and not your back. Keeping that weight close to your body the whole time. You might hear this bag rubbing up on me through the motion. That's ideal.
1.
Change sides.
Rest.
Hinge, pull, flip, squat, press. Hinge, pull, flip, squat, press. Hinge, pull, flip, squat, press. Ooh, I'm feeling my butt. That's good. Gotta watch out for my plants. I was a little sloppy on the way down. I was too concerned about my plants. 30 seconds. We'll go into our kicks. Hinge, pull, flip, squat, press. They call it a clean and jerk, but we really know what it is. It is a hinge, pull, flip, squat, press.
3,
Good.
1.
All right.
Exercise.
Keep your guard up, and again, brace in the heel. A little bit of weight in the big toe, little toe. Knee up first, and then extend. Your point of contact is going to be the heel of your foot. So you want to make sure to point that toe towards your face. If you want to put a little lean into it, you can. You're also more likely to fall. So don't lean too much into that heel. Toes straight ahead. Try to avoid any rotations. Yeah. And you're not really doing a front kick. You're doing a quarter side kick, quarter front kick. Same thing with when we do those side kicks. Don't let that hip rotate. Otherwise you're doing a quarter front kick, a quarter side kick. 10 seconds. And we'll go on to those side kicks. Take your time on them. Feel out that motion. Doesn't have to be really high.
1.
Point
Rest.
to where you're hitting. Knee in. Across. And in. Keep that big toe planted. That heel on the floor. Seconds. Hips are feeling it. Feeling that mobility.
Three.
Down to
1.
up dog.
Exercise.
It's almost too easy. I feel like I haven't done enough. Steady motions. Heart rate shouldn't be through the roof. Take the opportunity to stretch your hamstrings. Stretch your hips. Core brace while you're stretching those hips. Don't stretch on your lumbar. Stretch on your abdomen. Heels flat, slight bend in the knee. Lift that tailbone up into the air. Almost on our last round. We got a little flutter kick, alternating leg lifts or knee
One.
tucks. It's
Rest.
up to you. Hands at the lower back though to lift that tailbone up and keep your back safe. Make sure to keep that pelvic floor nice and braced. All the muscles between your hips. Squeezing, pulling those hips together, keeping that gate closed, lifting that tailbone up. "20 seconds. All right, time to hop on up
3,
for our last round.
1.
Starting off with those single leg
Exercise.
deadlifts. Got some good range going. Let me see what I can get on reps this time. Feel my glutes. That's good. All this single leg work is going to build up that balance in your glute medius, build up that hinging in your glute max. Get that butt nice shape. Everybody likes a nice scrumptious butt, whether it's on yourself or someone else. Weight in the heel, toes in alignment.
3, 1.
Whew. Other side.
Rest.
A little tougher on the stability on this side. It's an alignment issue in this back leg. I need to keep my pelvic floor in mind. There we go. Nice steady workout. Look at this sweat. NYU football represent. There's no such thing, by the way. It's a parody. It's not a name brand or chain bark. It's a parody. I don't know what football field NYU football will play on. Central Park. 15 seconds. Got some reps
3,
going on that side. That's good.
1.
All right. Hand
Exercise.
clean jerk. Last set. Hinge, pull, flip, squat, press. Hinge, pull, flip, squat, press. Keeping that weight in line with your shoulder and in line with your body. You can see that backpack is right in front of me, out to the side of me, pressed up and over behind me, always touching down on my body. It's a nice little swirl, spiral motion. All the best motions are spiral motions, right? So look at the universe. Sweating up a nice steady sweat. I love it. 24 minutes of this beats 24 minutes of running, at least in my book.
3,
Some of y'all.
1.
All right, other side.
Rest.
Hinge, pull, flip, squat, press. I'll run it slower. Hinge, pull, flip, squat, press. Weight in the heels during the squats and the hinges. Watch out for those plants, Josh. They need nice long lives. 30 seconds. Almost done. 15 seconds. Hinge, pull, flip, squat, press.
3,
Very nice. Front kicks.
1.
Toes in alignment,
Exercise.
pointing straight ahead of you. Guard up. Knee up first. Extend. Toes pointing up on extension. Contact with the heel. There's a straightforward kick, much like I'm taking a nice long stride, long step. So it'll be limited by your hamstring mobility. This is a good opportunity to challenge that, by the way. On this last set, when you're warm, see what kind of height you can get without pulling your hamstring. Ten seconds. Bring it down a little bit. Whew. Side kicks.
1.
Again,
Rest.
in the direction with your arm while you're hitting. Bring the knee in and out. In, out, in, out, in. I'm going to start challenging my range. A little easier on that left side than right side. Everybody's a little different. Ooh, I am dripping sweat. That's good. Keep moving. Almost done. This is the hardest part. This last little finish on this big full body motion. Everything else is isolations and stretches. Easy stuff.
3,
All right.
1.
Down
Exercise.
to up dog. Core brace as you drop your hips towards the floor. Lift your hips up. Lift your chin up for an up dog. Dig your toes into the floor and your heels into the floor. Bring your hips up and your tailbone lifted for a down dog. Squeeze the chest, squeeze the armpits. Lift the head and shoulders on both of these motions. Congratulations. You're through 22 minutes and some change of cardio. Much lower impact, much steadier state, much better range of motion than your typical cardio too, which is ideal.
1. Rest.
Last set of isolated leg lifts. Hands at the tailbone, lifting up that back, giving it a little tilt. Make sure to keep that pelvic floor braced. Lifting one leg at a time. If you want to float and flutter, well, that's up to you. I've got big, heavy legs. I'm going to go for just a standard single leg lift. If you have heavy legs, you got real strong legs, you can also do the bent. That tuck is definitely just as effective for a minute on your heart rate. We're not targeting your strength today. We're just trying to keep your heart beating. 10 seconds.
Three,
All right.
1. Exercise.
Good stuff. Good for you. I'm going to take off my headphones. I'm listening to some music while I'm working. Definitely not cheating. You should absolutely be putting on music while you're working. It's time to stretch. I'm sweaty as can be. Look at that. I'm going to take this vest off. Breathe for a moment. Okay. We're going to start off with some cat-cows. Let me get a side view for you. You're going to lift your head up, lift your hips up, drop your chest, embrace your core. You want to press your head forward, press your hips back to make a nice long smile out of your spine. Bracing that core, breathe deep in your hips. We're going to go for a cat next, opposite angles, head down, tailbone down, press your back through your shoulders, brace your core, drawing it in. Nice deep breaths. 2 of them. And we'll go back to that cow. Cow. 2 deep breaths. Deep breaths deep into the hips. Cat. As you exhale, 2 deep breaths, drawing in that abdomen, very important. Breathe deep in your back. Cat. I'm sorry, cow. One more cat. I am sweating up a storm. Alright, next you're going to want to dig your toes into the floor like I have them right now. Your heels are going to be over your toes. And you're going to want to place your knees and your feet hip distance apart, maybe even a little wider, depending on your mobility. And we're going to go into a frog or a deep squat or a crow, depending on your mobility. You're going to drive those heels towards the floor as far as you can. If you're not able to get them to the floor, that's fine. Stay with your hands on the floor for the frog. Frog. If you feel a little more mobile than most, you can drop the heels down, keeping your hands on the floor for a crow. Or if you're perfectly capable in a deep squat, you can lift that chest up, bringing your shoulders up, extending your back, your heels down to the floor. If you want to do a variation between, you can place your hands on your thighs. Give it a gentle press. Definitely don't press too hard into the thigh, otherwise you might put too much pressure on the knee. And yeah, your goal is to align your feet, your knees, your hips, and get your heels on the floor for a deep squat. If you want to push even further, you can go into that overhead variation. Just hang out here for a few more breaths. And again, if you're comfortable in the frog, do the frog. Don't do anything that's gonna, put too much pressure in your ankle or your knee. Same thing with the crow, same thing with the frog, or I'm sorry, the deep squat. All right, I want you to lift your hips up into the air, extending your legs to a natural straight, meaning slight bend in the knee. Lift your tailbone up, lift your chest up, and place your hands on your thigh to get a flat back going. Press your hips back, put your weight in your heels, stretch out those hamstrings. Hamstring is in the back of the thigh. Stretch out the back of that thigh. Good. Come on up. We're going to get a nice wide base going. Toes pointed straight ahead. Slight bend in the knees, weight in the heels. Glutes tight, core braced. I want you to place your hand on your hip. Press your hip out to the side and reach up with your arms, opening up your oblique. Once you feel that your oblique is extended, reach that arm across, but do not drop your shoulder or your arm forward. Take some nice deep breaths. I like to keep my palm facing up, keeps me from dropping my chest little tidbit, little variation. Out to the other side, hand on the hip, slight bend in the knees, press that hip out, open up your oblique, reach your arm straight up into the air. Once you feel your oblique is open, reach across. Deep breaths into that ribcage. Good. Keep your split going. We're going to go for a little bit of a hip extension and back bend. We're going to couple it with some rotation in our rotator cuff and a chest stretch. Once you get your palms facing up, get a nice wide wingspan in your chest. Core brace, glutes tight. I want you to gently roll your thumbs back, tuck your chin back and lift your head up. Press your hips forward and go gently into a back bend, rotating your thumbs the whole way down. Make sure to keep that core braced, very important. Keep those glutes braced, very important. You don't want to put pressure on your lumbar. Let those thumbs take the lead. Just follow with that range of motion. It shouldn't be a very big back bend. Good. Come on up. Release. One more stretch unilaterally, so 2 technically. Okay, get into a lunge position. Lead leg, opposite arm going across. Turn and rotate towards that lead leg, keeping your glutes tucked underneath your abdomen and your shoulders tucked over, core brace. Breathe deep in your back. Good. Change it out to the other side. Last stretch. We'll take a few deep breaths and you'll be done. I'll be done too, thank goodness. I'm sweating. Glutes tight, tucked underneath your abdomen, core brace, shoulders tucked over, rotate into it. Breathe deep in your back. All right. That concludes today's workout, full body aerobics. I want to thank y'all again for joining me here at Spot Training. If you're looking for more insight, you got questions, feel free to drop me a line, shoot me an email. My website is spotmetraining.com. My website email is going to be spottraining@outlook.com. My personal trainer email is going to be joshua.james.caceres @gmail.com. To reiterate on today's workout, we did a full body aerobic training session. I'm still feeling the oxygen intake. Now is a really good time. You know, this is an excellent workout for losing weight as is, but if you're looking to burn a few extra calories, go for a nice steady state walk. Anything you do before you eat is going to be get excess oxygen and burn a little bit more fat than usual. I don't want to go too much into the science of it, but you just don't have those carbs available, so what's your body going to run off of? Oxygen and fat. So really good workout to just get a nice steady burn going and promote that oxygen intake. Hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you didn't have too much of a challenge. Hope you didn't feel like you met failure. Also I hope you weren't too successful and that this was, you know, a little too easy. You want to find that middle point, you know, where you can find the regressions and progressions available to you to get that challenge. There's always a challenge available. You know, I've got no equipment out here. You don't need much equipment either. You can do this anywhere, anytime, and that's what we teach you here at Spot Training, how to do more anywhere. So again, my name's Joshua. Thanks for joining me on this workout. I'll see y'all on the next video. Take care.